possible. After finishing the last item, Chen Yang clapped his hands and took out his mobile phone to look at it. It was already after 11 o'clock in the evening. My mother washed her hands, took out a multi-layer insulated rice bucket from the small room at the back, opened the lid, pulled a plastic stool over, and placed the food inside on the stool. Chen's father, who had been with me for more than an hour, had dinner together. They had to work all night, and it was impossible not to eat something at this time. Chen Yang didn't eat, so he moved a small stool and sat aside. Seeing his father picking up his wine glass again, he couldn't help saying, "Dad, drink less alcohol, it's not good for your health." In later generations, when my dad died of illness, alcohol had a lot to do with it. At that time, Chen Yang was still complaining about him and didn't know how to cherish his body. It wasn't until later that his life was not going well, and he only used alcohol to relieve his worries, that he felt more how much I understand my father. Worked as a worker in a factory all his life, but at the end of his life, he was forced to lay off his job due to the bankruptcy of the company to make a living on his own. Later, his son's job was not smooth, he didn't even have a wife, and he couldn't help him. What else could he do besides drinking? At this time, Dad Chen was not as depressed as he was when he returned to his hometown after the business failed. He gave Chen Yang a dissatisfied look, and said with a cold face, "You still care about me? When I can't move, I rely on you to reward me. Let's talk about it while we're eating." Having said that, after taking 2 more sips of wine, he still put the lid on. Chen Yang sat on the side laughing, watching his parents eat quietly, and when they finished eating, his mother washed and put away the lunchbox. And when they were sitting together waiting for customers to come to the door, she mustered up her courage and said, "Dad, Mom, I want to discuss something with you." HMPH, Dad Chen immediately turned his head, with an expression that I didn't expect. "It's so abnormal today, but you can come to the stall to help. I know you have no good intentions. You are trying to plot my money, right? Well, do you want to buy a computer, or do you plan to buy a suit so you can go out and look for a job? Let me tell you, as long as you are doing business, I can pay you the money." Speaking of taking the satchel from my mother, I have to take money from it. Chen Yang waved his hands dumbfounded. "No, I don't want money. Hey, it's not. I mean I don't want to buy something." "Huh?" Father Chen stopped what he was doing and turned to look at him. "Then what do you want to buy?" "I don't want to buy." Chen Yang suddenly stopped in the middle of speaking, gritted his teeth, and said, "Yes, I want to buy something." HMPH, Chen's father cast a contemptuous glance at him. "Then why don't you just say, what are you going to buy, and how much will it cost?" Chen Yang took a deep breath, turned his head and looked around. Seeing no one else, he whispered, "I want to sell my aunt's stall, and it costs 150,000 yuan. Pan stalls. Dad was taken aback for a moment, then sneered, "Maybe you still want to do this business? Tell you, it's impossible." After a pause, he continued, "Don't learn from those rich young masters. You always ask your family for money to start a business and practice your skills. Our family does not have this condition. Tomorrow, you obediently go out to find a job and go to work for me." As he said that, he took out a handful of banknotes from his satchel, and stuffed them to Chen Yang without counting them. "Here is 2,000, use it to buy a better suit. I don't have the money for the computer now, and you will earn it yourself when you go to work later. Go. If you want to find a job online, there is an internet cafe next to where we live. Where can you find it?" Hey, I didn't expect my dad to be so trendy and know that he can find a job online. Damn, that's not the point. Chen Yang held the money helplessly, couldn't help but sighed. He knew it wasn't that simple, and took the money from his father. "Father, listen to me." Chen Yang reassembled his drums and continued, "You heard what I said at lunch today. Buying the stall here is a guaranteed profit. Such a good opportunity. Why can't we catch it? Now the price of the stalls has been falling, but the rent has not, and some stalls are even rising. What does this mean? It means that there is no risk in buying a stall. It only takes a few years to recover the capital if you collect the rent. Isn't it much better than the two of you who are exhausted every day? You don't need to worry about our affairs." Chen's father was unmoved, and said with sideways eyes, "You are still making money. Do you think you are the only smart person in the world? No one else can think of what you said. Then why don't people buy it? Why does the owner of that stall want to sell it? You said just now that the price is still falling, so you are not afraid that it will be worthless and you will lose it all. Or the same sentence, don't cause trouble for me. Go out and find a job for me tomorrow." Chen's mother also chimed in, "Yeah, Yang, your cousin and aunt have been here for 5 or 6 years, and they don't even want to buy it. Maybe you know more about this place than they do. Listen to your father, or find someone serious work. It is safest to go to work honestly. It's not scary to encounter setbacks, just solve the problem." Now that Chen Yang has made up his mind, how can his parents dispel his thoughts with a few words? Immediately shook his head and said, "You reading www.wuxia.com. Whether they don't buy it or sell it, they don't see if they can make money. But they are afraid that their own interests will be damaged, but there is no way to do business without taking risks. Even if you are in this business, you will often lose money, right? The key is to look at the problem from the right perspective. I won't say much about the analysis. Anyway, in my opinion, this business is low risk and high yield. It's a rare opportunity. Moreover, is it safe to go to work outside? Not necessarily. Your previous unit was a state-owned enterprise, and it disappeared in the end. I will find a job later. If the company disappears, or the boss thinks I'm not good pleasing to the eye, fired me, what can I do? Go home and eat the old man. Why don't you take this opportunity to earn a little bit, don't you think?" Father Chen pretended not to hear, leaned back in the chair and did not speak. Seeing that his father was still unmoved, Chen Yang decided to use his trump card. Dad, when Grandma left, you told her in front of her that the 50,000 yuan was for me to buy a wedding house. You just think that I want to buy a wedding house now, and when I get married, I will never ask you for a house again, okay? Dad has a very stubborn temper. Some people like it and some people don't like it, but there is one advantage that everyone praises, that is filial piety, especially the most obedient to Grandma, and Grandma has 4 grandchildren. 1 granddaughter and 2 granddaughters. Who hurts the most? Chen Yang, who was brought up by her old man. If Grandma was still there, Chen Yang didn't need to discuss with his father at all, he just went to Grandma and got the safekeeping money immediately. Sure enough, when Chen Yang carried Grandma out, Father Chen was no longer calm, his expression changed, but in the end he shook his head. No money. Chen Yang wanted to scratch his head. Why can't this dad make any sense?